Filmazon.com's Nikolai Adams here with David Ebeltoft. Is that right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and we're here at the St. Lawrence International Film Festival. We just finished premiering. You screen wrote and you produced Here Alone.
I did.
And what a great kind of zombie film, but more of a character drama with zombies being in the periphery.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely we like to call it an indie drama with a genre skin. Yeah, because we really try to bring much more of a human element and an emotional element with the threat being sort of internal instead of this external, zombie threat.
Yeah,
I guess.
So for better or for worse, we're in I guess what I could only coin as perhaps the Walking Dead craze. You have to have 100%. A little bit of cojones to write a zombie movie right now with what's going on in television.
Well,
Take me through that.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I appreciate you saying I have cojones because it was a challenge, and I mean it was a challenge on one part, but it was also beneficial to us because what we really tried to do is we tried to take what was this craze and work within it. I don't think this film could exist before the Walking Dead craze, and I don't know if it can exist in a few years when I believe that craze will die down. Mm-hmm. I really think there's this moment where people are interested in different takes on this genre, much like the vampiric genre, a few years ago when Blade and the Twilight stuff come out. Mm-hmm. And now you still have some tricklers. You have Neon Demon, and you have these other, the Jarmusch film that came out, what was that, Only Lovers Left Alive, right? So, you have some other people still keeping that alive, but, 10 years ago, vampiric stuff was just exploding. Yeah. So we had a unique opportunity to create a unique story and sort of, I think, take what most of these zombie films, including The Walking Dead, are these broad scopes. These big worlds, and you have hundreds of infected and hundreds of hordes of zombies attacking. And we just kept on trying to magnify it down and down and down into what I believed and we as a team believed was a relatable experience. So
now let me ask you: there was this blood aspect with the zombies in it. Did that have anything to do with? Did you say I'm going to throw in a little bit of vampire there because they're kind of attracted by the blood?
Yeah.
Was there a little bit of vampiric element there?
There sort of is. And, kudos to catching up on that. And I guess I keep on throwing out the Z word all the time, but ours were more infected. Mm-hmm. There were more of these infected creatures, and because they're not truly the undead. So that's why we had this bloodlust idea to them, where they're able to sort of just sense this stuff and go sort of ballistic on it. So I'm not necessarily we've actually planned out who the infected are. We obviously withhold it from our audience because we didn't want our audience to see anything and know anything that our characters don't. I truly think that if we, if what hit the fan and the apocalypse happened tomorrow, I think we would be without information. And so we don't want to give that information and have the idea that they might be vampiric or they might not be because our characters don't know. So we're really trying to hold that mystery back a little bit until maybe the sequel.
Yeah, I like the way you think.
You heard it here first.
Now let's go to working within the Adirondacks. You're not your home's in the Adirondacks now, or in the periphery.
Yeah.
But you're not originally from here. So
Correct.
Talk about coming here and working within that frame of the Adirondacks being your plaything.
Yeah, I mean, and it is a vast and beautiful plaything. And I mentioned it, after the screening that when I moved here with my wife, we moved to a new town, and I had this little baby boy, and so I actually had sort of a depressing intro to the area, just because I didn't know anyone. You just moved to a new town, and now you're taking care of this little guy, and it was a very stressful and lonely time. And so my introduction to it was not of these big, beautiful rolling hills and glorious outlooks and landscapes and rivers and lakes and waterfalls. It was a little bit more depressing, and so that's why the film has this more depressing angle that's contrasted with natural beauty. And obviously now I love it. Now I love hikes with my children, all that stuff. But the intro to it was rough, and luckily I was able to overcome it. Maybe through the cathartic process of the film.
Yeah, and I would argue that there's that yin and yang thing, right? It is the beauty, but it also is the secludedness and being alone. And it is very scattered, the population in this area. So
you're totally right. I mean, there's pockets here that it's like if you were in this pocket, I don't think you'd be touched for a very long time. Yeah. And also, it's a beautiful environment, but I think it's super harsh. I mean, we touched up a little bit on the winter aspect, but my goodness, I mean, especially where you guys are too, even further north.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody would survive for a good 10 months out of the year up there. So yeah.
tough to hunker down.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Now let's go a little bit to Night Swim. You worked on that as well.
Yep.
Take us within that little 3.5-4 minute picture of horror, and what that was like making that tiny little great ride.
Yeah. So I have to actually, most of the credits due to Rod Blacker's directed it with a wonderful screenwriter and director named Bryce McGuire. I mean, it was such a creative idea. It was such a great concept, and I think short films are a medium that need to be more explored and more exploited as well. And because taking something like a grand idea of Night Swim, which is about this sort of unseen force that exists within suburban pools, and boiling it down to a tense and I think terrifying 3 minutes is just brilliant. So I unfortunately wasn't there for the filming, but the stuff that I was sent and all the notes that I was able to provide, I was scared from the moment I read the script that Bryce wrote to the moment that I started seeing the edits. So yeah, it was a trip.
I'm still a firm believer. You go back to the old days and they used to show Three Stooges before the feature film, or Abbott and Costello. I don't know why they don't do that with short films. I think studios should start producing short films to give younger filmmakers, up and coming filmmakers.
Let's start this petition. I totally agree. I don't know why they got that out either. I mean, probably because they need to advertise. They advertise their other films that they're going to do.
Or now the 38 commercials that start a movie in the theaters.
Right.
Okay, so let's now go. Well, actually, let me ask you this first. Any news on a possible sequel to Night Swim, since you already announced one possible sequel tonight?
Unfortunately, I don't know on Night Swim, to tell you the truth, because Bryce and Rod control that. I'll have to defer to them. So
it would be a wonderful premise for a full-length feature film.
And Lights Out, I'm sure you saw the short film Lights Out a long time ago, and they just made that into a feature film. And Lights Out was a great little scary short, went internet phenomenon. And I haven't seen the current Lights Out, so I can't truly attest to it. But I mean, that's a really great idea where you have to take something small and make it big, and that is such a challenge. Actually like flushing out all the character arcs and emotions and making it about something more than just a sort of a scare. And I think it would be great if we could do that with Night Swim, but boy, I just don't know.
Now let's go as a screenwriter. When did you first get into it, and what were those films that kind of influenced you
when I did get into it? Yeah. So I actually I did not go to school for writing. I went to school for art and photography. I sort of came to the writing game a little late. I always loved film. I always loved writing, possibly more than my actual degree. And at one point within my photography career, I was exhibiting in some galleries in Chelsea in New York. And the gallerist was like, listen, I really love your work, but I love the way you write about your work more. So, just to let you know. And of course, I didn't show at that gallery anymore after that. They didn't invite me back. But it got me thinking that, writing was really interesting. And it was really cool to be a visual major and explaining the work, the visuals afterwards, and then flipping that script and, laying all the visuals down on a script and then having it be shown through a visual medium such as film. So I came to it a little bit late, and man, the films are so many that actually inspired me, and I'd have to say stuff like a lot of stuff from the New Hollywood era, like The Sting and Harold and Maude and Harry and Tonto and Midnight Cowboy and all those great films. I mean, to me, when I saw those the first time, I was like, good Lord, these were done 2 to 3 years ago. I mean, they were so revolutionary, and I didn't understand the historic step they took, not only within the narrative, but I didn't understand the step they took between the old decaying Hollywood studio system to now what we have. And so those were great because I loved the idea that work could withstand the test of time and be reintroduced to new generations and new audiences. And I mean, art does the same thing. But it's just such an amazing testament that it can keep on being reinvented by the minds that are viewing it. So that's why I decided to just go right in and keep doing it.
And that's the amazing thing, right? The longevity of film. It's the same thing with music or any art, right? You can listen to a piece of classical music and you can be watching this boxing movie and they use this amazing piece of classical music and you're like, how did they tie this in?
Yeah,
or any example, but it's amazing. You can go back and watch Casablanca and be completely moved even though it's 70 plus years old. Yeah. Now let's go. Do you have any recommendations for screenwriters starting out? What would be your number one tip?
Wow, number one tip. You have to write a lot. Write. I still think I need to write more, and I write every day. And I think a lot of screenwriters start out with great ideas, and they start out with this wonderful, like, I got this wonderful idea, but then they actually don't take the time to expand that into something huge. I've met hundreds and hundreds of screenwriters that have never written a thing, but they call themselves a screenwriter. And so I think writing is huge, but the other big thing, even though you only asked for one piece of advice,
go for it.
Read scripts, read screenplays. Screenplays are so easy to get now online, and really find out how to write for the cinematic language. How to write, for something to be seen. Scripts are not the end piece. It's a written medium, it's a literary medium, but the novel, that's the end goal.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
write for a novel, so you write to read. Scripts, you write to see the movie. So a lot of young writers and a lot of young screenwriters just don't dive into how different scenes are constructed and how they're expressed, and the simpleness of it, the brevity of it, because it's a format, and so you have to understand every way you can be creative within that format. So yeah, write like crazy and then read scripts.
It's funny you say that. I just read an article that was talking about Guy Ritchie and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and how much of an issue there was with the original script and reading it, and it was just like, it wasn't a true script yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
But that was his first film, right? So
yeah.
So
he
now
did okay.
I think he did okay.
Yeah, he's all right.
But now you mentioned a few films, Midnight Cowboy and a few others. Is one of those your favorite?
Yes, it is. I prefaced it. I'm sorry. I prefaced your question. My favorite film is The Sting.
Okay.
Robert Redford and Paul Newman. My goodness. And I think The Sting for me is that it captures that sort of new attitude I was talking about with New Hollywood, and sort of this interesting narrative. There's some ridiculously depressing things with that in that film, and sorry, spoiler alert for anybody watching, but there's a scene where he has to kill a lady, and New Hollywood at that time was not doing that type of on-screen violence and not doing that type of reality, and it was done with such precision and with such depth. There was no score during that time. I mean, it was groundbreaking in a lot of ways. But what I also really, really love about it is that it goes back to the form of pure entertainment. It used every element within film in a new and unique way for a period piece to be really entertaining. And making that long con, you felt like you were in it on the whole time.
Yeah.
And the twists and the turns at the end, I mean, those gut punches.
Yeah.
I was so excited, and I love the idea of a gut punch, and I think I always try to incorporate a gut punch
So
in
that
my
plays
film.
into this film here?
Oh yeah, because you want to put everybody up and you want to take everybody down, and the great thing about The Sting is that I was entertained throughout every single up and down. So, and I still watch it religiously. So.
And what a classic.
Oh my God, right?
Thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah, so much fun. Thanks for talking. I appreciate it.